In this video, we are going to continue on with our lesson on solving equations using inverse operations. So you just finished trying question number 6 on your own, and we are going to start by taking up those answers. So for 6a, I got the answer x equals 1. So I added 3 to get 8, and then divided by 8 to get 1. For b, I got 15. So I subtracted 7 to get 3 and then multiplied by 5 to get 15. On the next one for C, I got x equals negative 20. So first thing, I reordered my terms. I left the negative with the 2x, and then that 10 is secretly a positive 10. And then that way my x was the first term. So I subtracted 10 to get 40. And then I divided by negative 2 to get negative 20. My last one, I didn't like that the x was on the right-hand side, so I traded the left-hand and right-handed sides. To get x squared plus 7 is 88. I subtracted 7 to get 81, and then I took the square root to get x equals 9. From here, we're going to do a couple of application questions. Now, we just finished a unit on linear relations, so we're going to use what we learned to do question number 7. So question number 7 says, an electrician charges $95 to make a service call plus $55 per hour. Write an equation for the cost, C, of hiring the electrician for n hours. So we learned how to do this in our last unit. So C, my cost. They charge $95 to start, and then an additional $55 every hour. So not just once, not just twice, but n times because we're doing n hours. So I have C equals 95 plus 55n. Now, part B is something that we learned how to do in the last unit. It says calculate the cost of a service call that takes 3 hours. So you want to think to yourself, is that 3 hours C or is that n? So just as a reminder, C is the cost, n is hours. So 3 hours, that would be our n. So what that means is I'm going to take my equation, and everywhere I see an n, we are going to put in the number 3. So I have C equals 95 plus 55 times, and then instead of n, 3. Now for this, we use regular order of operations. When we are calculating and all the numbers are already on the right side of the equation, we are just going to calculate using order of operations. It's only when we're trying to move terms from one side to the other that we use inverse operations. All right, so I would multiply first. 55 times 3 is 165. And then if I add that to 95, I get 260. So it would cost $260. Now, something we did not do in the last unit was something like question C. Question C says, how long was a service call if it costs $507.50? So just as a reminder, in our equation, we have a C and an N. C is the cost, N is the hours. So $507.50 is a dollar amount, so that's going to be my cost. So we are going to take our equation, but instead of C, we're going to put $507.50. So $507.50 equals 95 plus 55. And then I'm not using the 3 anymore, so we're just going back to using n. Now, I don't like that the n is on this side. If you don't mind, that's fine. But I'm going to take the two sides and trade them. So I now have that 95 plus 55n equals $507.50. I also prefer to have the term with the n first, so I think I'm going to reorder these. So the 55n is positive, and then that 95 is also positive. And now I think I'm ready to start solving. I have multiplication and addition, so the addition and subtraction moves first when we're taking it to the other side. So I am going to do the inverse and subtract 95. So $507.50 take away $95. And I get 412.5. So 55 times n is 400. I don't know what I'm writing there. So 412.5. And then to eliminate a multiply by 55, we are going to do the opposite and divide by 55. Running out of room here. So 412.5 divided by 55 is 7.5. So how long was the service call? The service call was 7.5 hours long. So I'm just going to say, therefore, it was 7.5 hours. It looks like house, but it's just my poor handwriting. Okay, we have one last question here, and this one is a word problem. We talked about this briefly yesterday when we were doing our lesson with algebra. It says 14 times the number of frogs plus 27 equals 559. Write an equation using f as the number of frogs. So it says 14 times the number of frogs plus 27 equals 559. So in place of the frogs, we are using the letter F. So we're doing 14 times F. So 14 times F plus 27 equals 559. So our equation here would be 14 times f plus 27 equals 559. If you want, you can actually just write it as 14f. You don't need the bracket, and then plus 27 equals 559, but it is up to you. Either version of that is okay. Okay, part B, how many frogs are there? Well, we have an equation. We might as well solve it. So I have 14 times f plus 27 equals 559. So I notice we are multiplying f by 14. We are also adding 27. So we would move the addition and subtraction first. So I would subtract 27 from 559. 559 subtract 27 is 532. So 14 times f equals 532. Okay, in order to eliminate that multiply by 14, we are going to do the opposite or the inverse and divide by 14. So I'm going to do 532 divided by 14. 532 divided by 14 is 38. That means there were 38 frogs. Okay, there are practice questions for you to try on the next page. I'll see you in the next video.